I woke up in the plot of some twisted, self-pitying novel. A system, my new invisible guide, told me my role was to be a selfless doormat, give everything to my family and fiancé, and then die tragically to make them regret it for the rest of their lives. I asked the system, so, the end goal is just to make her regret it, right? Correct, it chirped. A slow smile spread across my face. On my first day, I beat the hell out of the story's psychotic female lead. The system shrieked, "This isn't in the script." I cracked my knuckles. Is she regretting it yet or not? So, here I was stuck in a story with more emotional abuse than a daytime talk show. I'd been dropped into the body of Caleb Hayes, the eldest son of a wealthy family. And just like his name suggested a certain quiet fragility, he was a weak-willed pushover who'd do anything for his family and fiancé, only to be inexplicably hated by all of them. The family doted on the younger son, Ethan. Caleb's fiancée, Bianca Sterling, openly favored him, too. The original story's climax came on Ethan's birthday. He made a wish. He wanted Bianca to be his girlfriend for a month. Everyone pressured Caleb to be generous and not to get hung up on details with his little brother. Later, Caleb found them in a secluded corner of the garden, locked in a passionate kiss. When he confronted them, Bianca's bodyguard beat him so badly he was hospitalized. Utterly broken, Caleb slit his wrists and died. Only after his death did everyone, as if struck by collective seizure, start to regret everything. His parents wept. Bianca was consumed by remorse. They cried. They prayed. They begged for him to come back. But you can't unring that bell. They were doomed to live out their days drowning in guilt. I skimmed the plot summary and nearly threw up. A million alarm bells went off in my head. So moving, boo-hoo, I thought sarcastically. The system sniveled, wiping away non-existent tears. I fought back a wave of nausea. So, I'm Caleb now? Yes, it replied. And you brought me here to follow that script to die a beautiful death and make them all feel bad? The birthday party scene is especially crucial. You have to nail it, the system insisted. I cut off its rambling monologue. What happened to the original guy? He was a coward. Killed himself as soon as he found out the plot, the system explained. That's not important. What's important is that you have to project that sense of pathetic unrequited love. Maybe with a few brave hidden tears after being humiliated, it added. I waved a dismissive hand, flopped into a nearby patio chair, and crossed my legs. Too hard. I'm not an actor. Send me back, I said. System. Apologies. That function is not available. Only by completing the story and accumulating enough regret points will I have the power to send you back, it explained. And my power is limited. I can only sustain your life for 3 months. If you haven't completed the mission by then, you will die for real, it added. You're saying all that matters is that they regret it? I asked. A smirk played on my lips. We don't have to follow the script exactly, I said. The naive little system hadn't yet grasped my meaning when a commotion erupted from the patio. I glanced over. Ethan was lying in Bianca's arms by the pool, soaking wet. Caleb, why would you push Ethan? You know he can't swim, Bianca cradled him, her voice thick with righteous fury. You're a monster. An absolute monster, she accused. Before I could even speak, a translucent panel materialized in my vision. It displayed a single metric. Regret value, 0, it read. Bianca and I were supposed to be childhood sweethearts. This brother was the son of my father's second wife, a stepbrother I'd only known for 2 years. But in those 2 short years, she'd completely erased me from her heart. She not only accepted everything I gave her without a second thought, but stood by Ethan's side to humiliate me, all to win his affection. There's a word for women like that. Don't blame my brother, Ethan rasped, raising a weak hand. His expression was a perfect portrait of wronged innocence. He was just trying to teach me how to swim. I'm just so clumsy. I was underwater for like 10 minutes and still didn't get it, he coughed theatrically, spitting out a mouthful of pool water as he gazed in pain. Bianca panicked, shaking him frantically. I stared at them like they were the 2 dumbest people on the planet. A second later, I pulled out my iPhone and dialed 911. Yes, police. I need to report a crime. There's been a violent assault at 18, Crestview Lane in Greenwich. The victim was pushed into the pool and drowned. He's barely hanging on, I said into the phone. Hearing my voice, Ethan's body went rigid, his face turning even paler. Bianca didn't notice. She was still lost in her frantic fussing. I made another call. 911, I need an ambulance. A man has drowned at 18, Crestview Lane. He's not going to make it. Please send a vehicle immediately, I said. Ethan shot up, pushing Bianca away. Bro, I'm fine, he insisted, proving his point by doing a back handspring on the spot and striking a pose. See? Totally fine, he said. I walked over and clamped a hand on his shoulder. No, you're not. I am. You're not. I am, I argued, spinning around and snapping at a bewildered Bianca. What are you just standing there for? Can't you see he's delirious? Drowning victims need to lie flat or they can suffer serious complications, I instructed. Bianca blinked. Right, Ethan? You have to lie down, she said, forcing him back onto the ground. Before he could react, I plopped down and sat squarely on his chest. What are you doing? He gasped. Shut up. I'm saving your life, I said, placing both my hands on his chest and looking up at Bianca. Hold his arms down. This might hurt a little, but it's for his own good, I warned. I pressed down hard. Ethan let out a squeal like a stuck pig. What are you doing? Bianca's face contorted with rage. Get off him, she demanded, shoving me. I tumbled sideways, my head cracking against the stone patio. A sharp pain shot through my skull. Son of a, you hit me, I muttered, scrambling to my feet and laying into her with a series of sharp, stinging slaps. Bianca was completely unprepared. The force sent her spinning like a top. The system screamed in my head, what did you do? Teaching the female lead some manners, I replied, my hands not stopping and neither did my mouth. I slapped her again and again. You hit me? Who the hell gave you the right to hit me? I demanded. Slap you, trashy backstabbing. I continued, each word punctuated by a slap. Bianca finally snapped out of her shock, letting out a piercing shriek. Caleb, how dare you slap? She started, but another slap cut her off mid-sentence. That's for hitting me, I said, each word emphasized by another slap. Do you have any idea the emotional trauma your shove just caused my fragile psyche? I accused. Stop it. Stop hitting me, she pleaded. No matter what she said, the slaps kept coming. I just kept repeating it. A brutal mantra. That's for hitting me. That's for hitting me, I thought. I was teaching her a direct lesson. Actions have consequences. Finally, Bianca fought back. She kicked out, catching me hard in the stomach. I stumbled back. You dare hit me back? I roared, grabbing her by the arm and slamming it down hard against my raised knee. Ah! She screamed, a blood-curdling sound. I grabbed her by the hair and started to pummel her. If I didn't beat the fear into her, she'd never feel a shred of regret. She started spewing insults, each one foul. My fist just swung faster. We fell into a bizarre rhythm. She'd curse, I'd punch. After a few minutes, her face was swollen like a side of beef, and she couldn't form a coherent sentence. Ethan, still on the ground, watched with a flicker of terror in his eyes. He'd sent the staff away earlier to make sure I'd be framed with no witnesses. Now, his little plot had given me the perfect private setting for this. Bianca was utterly alone, a look of pure desperation on her face. Just then, the progress bar on the panel in front of me nudged forward. Regret value, 5, it read. She was curled up on the ground, sobbing and begging. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was all my fault, she whimpered. The system had been having a meltdown for a while now. What are you doing? You're destroying the plot, it complained. Shut up, I muttered, pointing to the panel. See that? The numbers are going up. But the plot, the tears, the tragic romance, it protested. I'll ask you one more time. Is she regretting it yet? I demanded. System. Bianca's pathetic whimpers were drowned out by the sound of approaching sirens. A police cruiser sped down the private road and pulled up to the mansion. We lived in an exclusive gated community where nothing ever happened. This was the most excitement the neighborhood had seen in years. Even old Mr. Henderson from down the street, who'd been paralyzed for ages, was being wheeled out by his nurse to watch the show. 2 officers hurried toward us. Who called this in? One asked. Officer, you have to help me. Bianca cried, pointing a trembling, swollen finger at me. Caleb tried to drown his brother, and when I stopped him, he attacked me, she lied. The next second, she froze. Somehow, in the confusion, I had collapsed onto the ground. I was now rolling back and forth, looking like I was taking my last breaths. "What's wrong with you?" one of the officers asked. I raised a shaky hand and pointed it at Bianca. She hit me," I said weakly. The officer's expression hardened. Bianca frantically waved her hands. "No, I didn't. He hit me," she insisted. Ethan scrambled to his feet to back her up. "I saw it. He was hitting Bianca," he lied. I immediately put on a look of ultimate betrayal and rage. "This woman is my fiancé, and that man is my brother. I caught them together," I said, letting my voice trail off, letting them fill in the blanks with a look of profound shame. "Officer, they're in this together." "You can't believe a word he says," Bianca argued. The cops looked confused. "Okay, someone reported a drowning. Let's deal with that first. Then we can sort out this dispute," one of them said. Bianca pointed at me again, her voice dripping with venom. "He's the one who pushed Ethan in the pool," she accused. I flinched, my whole body trembling with manufactured fear. "It wasn't me," I said. "Officer, I'm the one who called you." He was yelling that someone was trying to drown him. "There must be an attacker somewhere in the neighborhood, so I called for help," I explained. After taking notes, one of the officers asked casually, "Where's the security room?" At the mention of security cameras, Bianca shot me a venomous look that screamed, "You're dead." Only Ethan's face went rigid. Just then, the property manager arrived out of breath. After a quick exchange, he led the officers toward the security office. God bless the boys in blue, straight to the heart of the matter. It always drove me crazy in these kinds of stories. The protagonist gets framed in a massive mansion, and somehow nobody thinks to check the dozens of security cameras. Everyone gets hit with a stupid stick, and the main character just cries all to manufacture cheap drama. It made me sick. In the security room, Ethan's face was now genuinely pale. The truth was about to come out as the room fell silent. The wail of an ambulance grew louder. Paramedics rushed in carrying a stretcher, led by the property manager. "Where's the patient?" they asked. Ethan immediately let out a few weak coughs to identify himself. I clutched my chest and coughed, too. Hey, if we're acting, I can play along, I thought. The paramedics quickly examined both of us. After a few minutes, one of them straightened up, relieved. "You're both mostly fine, but to be safe, you should go to the hospital for a full workup," he said. Bianca's tense shoulders finally relaxed. "Thank God," she said. Ethan nodded in agreement. I put on a surprised face. "Wow, Ethan, you're okay. You looked so bad a minute ago." "I thought you were a goner," I said. "Shut your damn mouth," Bianca snarled. My face fell. Looks like she still hasn't learned her lesson, I thought. I remained calm. "Well, since no one's dying, why don't we wait for the police to finish with the security footage before we go anywhere?" I suggested. "The hell we will," Bianca exploded. "Do you want Ethan to be in pain?" she demanded. Ethan immediately chimed in with a few pathetic groans, tugging on her sleeve. "Bianca, my head is spinning. Let's just go to the hospital," he said. Of course, he wanted to run. Once the cop saw that video, his little act would be over. I wasn't about to let that happen. "Officer," I said, turning to the cop. "This woman was cheating on me with my own brother. She has no moral compass," I accused. "Shut your filthy mouth," Bianca snapped, practically breathing fire. I folded my arms and feigned fear. "Bianca, the police are right here and you're still screaming at me. Don't forget, you're still my fiancé," I said. Hearing this, Bianca shot back, "Maybe you should think about why. If you weren't such a despicable person, I wouldn't have to yell at you." My eyes welled up with fake tears. "How am I despicable? You're my fiancé, but you're sleeping with my brother. You're the one with no integrity," I said. That was the last straw. Bianca erupted. All pretense of manners and decency gone, a torrent of vile, bottom-of-the-barrel insults came pouring out of her, unfiltered by rage. She was so used to screaming these things at me that she didn't realize the horrified looks on everyone's faces. I cowered behind one of the officers. "See, this is what she's like with me all the time," I said. Realizing her mistake, she tried to backtrack. "I'm just telling the truth," she said, but no one was buying it. All they saw was an unfaithful woman siding with her lover to verbally abuse her own fiancé. Just then, the officer who had gone to check the security footage came out. We reviewed the tape. Ethan jumped into the pool himself to frame Caleb. "The video and audio are perfectly clear," he said. "Impossible," Bianca said, looking stunned. "Ethan would never do that," she insisted. "The facts speak for themselves." "Are you accusing me of falsifying evidence?" the officer asked, his voice cold, still refusing to believe it. Bianca rushed into the security room herself. A few minutes later, she stumbled out, looking utterly defeated. "Why?" she whispered, her eyes filled with disappointment. Ethan didn't know how to explain. His face was as white as a sheet. Suddenly, he doubled over, clutching his stomach. "It hurts. It hurts so much," he groaned. Bianca, her anger forgotten, immediately called for the paramedics to take him to the hospital. I poked my head out from behind the officer and called after her sarcastically, "Hey Bianca, the truth is out. How does your conscience feel now?" After beating and screaming at me for something her darling Ethan did, Bianca flinched but didn't say a word as she helped Ethan onto the stretcher. The regret value on her panel ticked up to 10. Damn, this gets caught in a lie and I only get 10 points, I thought. System, you see this? Based on your script, I highly doubt my death would have magically bumped her regret to 100, I said. System, you never know until you try, it replied. I didn't have time to argue. I collapsed dramatically to the floor, wailing in agony. It hurts. It hurts so much. Bianca beat me so badly, I cried. Bianca, furious, yelled back, "You're lying. I didn't touch you. You were the one hitting me." The officer stepped forward to set the record straight. "Ms. Sterling. The security footage shows that after Mr. Ethan Hayes entered the water and Mr. Caleb Hayes approached to help, you shoved him first. He then retaliated and the situation devolved into a mutual altercation," he explained. Only then did she seem to remember that first shove. "Oh, the injustice," I cried from the floor, my voice thick with misery. "I want to press charges. I want her to go to jail," I said. The officers, already fed up with Bianca, seized the opportunity. One of them stepped forward, ready to arrest her. Bianca never imagined things would escalate this far. She just stood there stunned. The regret value on her panel shot up quickly, hitting 20. System, holy crap, dude. You're a genius, I thought. Lying on the gurney in the ambulance, I had a chat with the system in my head. You know why? She barely felt bad for framing me. But the threat of jail instantly jumped her 20, I said. System, why? It asked. Because human nature is simple. People are bullies to the weak and cowards to the strong. When people do bad things without facing punishment, they don't feel regret. You see those white-collar criminals and murderers crying in court? Do you think they're genuinely sorry? I asked. Wrong. They're just sorry they got caught. If they hadn't, they'd never have regretted a single thing, I explained. At the hospital, we both got a full workup. Ethan had some minor bruises. I, on the other hand, was diagnosed with a mild concussion and multiple contusions all over my body. I don't remember getting hit that much, I thought. System, those are from previous beatings. Even better, we're pinning all of this on Bianca, I said. The police report came out. Ethan Hayes had faked a drowning to frame me, and I had attempted to help him despite the history between us. Bianca Sterling, mistakenly believing I was harming him, had assaulted me. I had fought back in self-defense, leading to a mutual fight. So, I pressed charges against Bianca for assault, and she was taken into custody. She was completely floored. The regret value on her panel instantly soared to 30. The Sterling family wasn't exactly royalty, but they were a respectable old money clan. The story of their darling daughter getting arrested was blood in the water for reporters. Plenty of neighbors had witnessed the commotion, and most of them were on my side, disgusted by Bianca's apparent infidelity and violence. Within hours, the news was everywhere. Bianca was chewed out by her family. Overnight, her regret value rocketed to 50. I chuckled. So, her public image was her weak spot. Getting yelled at by her family and splashed across the tabloids added 20 points, way more than actually assaulting me, I thought. Now that I knew her weakness, I was going to exploit it mercilessly, I decided. I had someone leak the official police report. In a single night, the story of the Sterling heir cheating with her fiancé's younger brother and then beating said fiancé spread like wildfire. Reporters swarmed my hospital room. I put on a masterclass performance for the cameras, complete with crocodile tears. I recounted the incident, adding plenty of spicy, exaggerated details. I dominated the trending topics on Twitter. Thousands of angry users flooded Ethan and Bianca's social media accounts with vicious comments and insults. When Bianca found out, her regret value ticked up another 10 points. My mood was fantastic. I scrolled through the comments on my phone, cackling at the particularly savage ones. A short while later, my hospital room door burst open. 2 people stormed in, radiating fury. I looked up. It was my dear old dad and my wicked stepmother. They each had a panel floating over their heads, too. Both read, regret value, 0. After all the abuse I'd taken in this family, all the sacrifices I'd made, I was lying in a hospital bed. And they still looked at me like I was the villain. Their faces were dark, their eyes filled with hatred, as if I committed some unforgivable crime. Dad. Mom, I said, my voice weak and my face pale. Cut the act, my stepmother hissed. Bianca barely pushed you. And you're acting like you have broken bones. Who do you think you're fooling? She demanded. My father chimed in, you're a grown man, Caleb. Why do you have to cause so much trouble? Why do you have to get Bianca arrested? Have you considered the consequences of offending the Sterling family? What about our family's reputation, our business? They went on and on, completely disregarding my feelings, demanding that I drop the charges immediately. I was speechless. These are the vile people the system wanted me to serve and die for. My eyes turned red with righteous anger. But Ethan framed me first. Your brother told us you're always bullying him. He said he was pushed to his breaking point and just made a stupid mistake out of desperation. And you just forgave him for me, my stepmother said. You believe everything he says, I accused. My stepmother's face was still a mask of fury. Ethan is a sweet, innocent boy, not a pathological liar like you, she insisted. Sweet and innocent, I laughed coldly. This isn't the first time he's done this. One day he says I yelled at him. The next he says I hit him. If it wasn't for the security footage this time, I'd be the one taking all the blame again, I said. Nonsense. You're still slandering your brother, my father said, his voice turning icy with anger. And even if that were true, you don't air your dirty laundry in public. You've made this a public spectacle and that makes you wrong. Bianca is your fiancée. Is it right to have her thrown in jail? He demanded. I shot back, oh, so now you admit she's my fiancée? I thought she was Ethan's. They were both struck silent. My stepmother could no longer contain her rage. She lunged forward and grabbed me by the collar of my hospital gown. Stop faking it. Sign the papers to get Bianca released right now. And you're going to tell the media that you provoked your brother, that he only fought back because you pushed him too far. Otherwise, several large bodyguards blocked the doorway, ensuring no one would interrupt the family meeting. This story was truly twisted. Not a single normal person in the bunch. System, these are the people you wanted me to win over, I thought, silently vowing that I wouldn't let a single person who had wronged me get away with it. But for now, I was a guest in his body and had a mission to complete. With no other choice, I signed a withdrawal statement. Within half an hour, Bianca was released. The whole family went to the hospital to see Ethan, where they had a tearful, dramatic reunion. They completely forgot I was in a room just down the hall. Later, my stepmother brought a horde of reporters to my room and forced me to tell the truth under the family's menacing glare. I recited the lines they had fed me. It was my fault. I was bullying Ethan and he snapped and tried to frame me out of desperation, I said. After the interviews, my apology video and the family statements went viral. My parents and Bianca all sided with Ethan. My father, Caleb, has always targeted Ethan at home. He'd steal his things, take over his room, and constantly belittle him. I tried to talk to him many times, but it was no use. My stepmother, playing the martyr, Caleb turning out this way is all my fault. Don't blame him, blame me. I try my best to be a good mother. The internet mob turned on me instantly. Caleb is disgusting. No wonder his own family hates him. Serves him right. I see why his fiancée can't stand him. After the video dropped, Ethan and Bianca were completely exonerated. I, on the other hand, was buried under an avalanche of hate. For the next few days, I was treated like garbage, completely ignored. I spent a full week alone in that hospital room. They only remembered I existed after they took Ethan home. Your brother insisted that we bring you home, my stepmother said, holding Ethan's hand, her expression soft. She said it as if gracing me with their presence was the highest form of charity. Ethan approached my bed, looking pitiful. Brother, can you ever forgive me? He asked. I put on a show, grabbing his hand and giving him a look of pure brotherly love. I could practically feel the goosebumps rise on his arm. Only my parents and Bianca seemed to be buying the happy family charade. This world was insane. Back at the mansion, I decided it was time for some more insanity. I went straight to the second-floor balcony and prepared to jump. I'm such a monster. I hurt my own fiancé. I was jealous of my own brother. I don't deserve to live, I wailed for all to hear. I leaned halfway over the railing, my body trembling with theatrical shame and grief. Son, don't do anything stupid. Get down from there. My parents and Bianca rushed out into the yard below, their faces masks of panic. Caleb, get down. We can talk about this, they pleaded. No, just let me die. I've been a horrible person, I said. As I watched the regret values on their panel steadily climb, I felt a surge of grim satisfaction. This truly was a world of lunatics. It was only the second floor. A fall from here would at worst give me a nasty scrape, but they were acting like I was about to swan dive off the Empire State Building. Bianca cried out, Caleb, it's my fault. I was always yelling at you, hitting you. Please, can you forgive me? Son, your father was wrong, my dad pleaded. I'll never ignore your feelings again. Just please come down, he said. This went on for a good half an hour. The time was right. If I dragged it on any longer, I'd overplay my hand. I took a deep breath and shouted, Mom, Dad, Bianca, I'll see you in the next life. Then I launched myself off the balcony, aiming right for Bianca. I landed on something soft. I gave a firm squeeze, then closed my eyes and pretended to be unconscious. As I jumped, I deliberately scraped my arm on the railing, ensuring a minor fracture. The family carried me to my bed and doted on me. After the incident, they were incredibly attentive, constantly checking on me, asking if I needed anything. They hovered around me day and night, completely ignoring Ethan. His resentment grew. He tried his old tricks again, setting up little traps to frame me. But this time, it was like everyone had suddenly regained their sight. They saw through his pathetic schemes immediately. Without me even having to say a word, they would pick apart his lies and scold him. A stampede of furious alpacas galloped through my mind, I thought. Ethan's previous attempts to frame me were never that clever. But back then, everyone acted like they were blind, happily blaming me for everything. Now that I'd started acting completely unhinged, they'd all suddenly turned into Sherlock Holmes. It figured a twisted story needed a twisted method to conquer it. Whoa. The system suddenly shouted, look, their regret values are at 90. I was genuinely shocked. This made no logical sense. Had they all had a sudden epiphany? Did they finally realize how badly they'd wronged me? I began to question my own judgment. From any rational perspective, this was completely illogical. But reality was unfolding in a way that defied all reason. Since I couldn't figure it out, I decided not to waste my energy on it. If I could win this thing by doing nothing, all the better. 3 more days passed and the regret value stayed put. I was getting stumped. Why isn't the progress bar moving? I asked the system. Maybe it requires your death for them to reach 100% regret, it suggested. I rolled my eyes. What a load of crap. What good would their regret be to me if I was dead? I said. 3 more days passed. I was lying in bed when my stepmother came in with a bowl of soup, a gentle smile on her face. But as she turned away, I caught the slightest flicker of a frown. I realized her patience was wearing thin. Thanks, Mom, I said. Could you grab me that apple? She agreed with that same strained smile, but the progress bar above her head began to plummet. Her regret value dropped from 90 all the way down to 50. The system started to panic. What's happening? Why is the regret value dropping? It asked. They're getting tired of the act, I said. They felt guilty after realizing they'd wronged me. Sure, but that guilt was hollow. It couldn't stand a test of time. Even if the world's underlying script forces them to act erratically, the universe still has to follow some basic logic. No matter how much they regretted it, they were bound to revert to their true selves eventually. Hating me is their default setting. Finding out they were wrong about a few things wasn't going to make them suddenly love me, I explained. Realizing this, I knew it was time to strike back. I accidentally spilled the hot soup all over my stepmother's pristine white dress. She shrieked and jumped back. "Are you blind or just stupid? You little bastard," she cursed. That was her true attitude toward me. Before, she never bothered to hide it. She'd reined it in after realizing she'd wronged me. But now her patience was gone and the mask was off. After her outburst, she realized her mistake and forced another smile. "It's fine," she said, trying to suppress her anger, but the progress bar above her head was in freefall. In minutes, it hit 1. Fine. If that's how she wanted to play it, then she couldn't blame me for what came next, I thought. My body was healed. I no longer had to worry about their threats. I opened my laptop and wrote out a long, detailed post about everything that had happened, how my family had enabled Ethan's schemes, how they had bullied and abused me, and of course, I attached the audio recording from a few days ago, the one where they threatened me into making that apology video for Ethan and Bianca. I kept it in my back pocket, waiting for the perfect moment to go big. The time was now. I hit post and unleashed it all onto the internet, catching every single one of them completely off guard. The web exploded. Public opinion reversed again, this time with a vengeance. Bianca and Ethan were crucified online. The scandal even started to impact both of our families' businesses. When they got the news, they all rushed home. "Caleb, what have you done?" my stepmother screamed. "How could you go back on your word?" she demanded. My father was trembling with rage. "After we've been so patient and tolerant with you these past few days. This is how you repay us," he said. Bianca just launched into a stream of curses. "You worthless, pathetic piece of garbage," she spat. I watched them quietly. The regret values on their panels dropped to 0. "System, it's at 0, I said. I smirked. "Quiet. The show is about to begin," I told the system. I stood before them. "You should all know exactly why I did this. You abused me, bullied me, beat me, and screamed at me. I gave you everything, and you treated me like I was nothing. This is payback," I said. The regret value on their panels ticked up from 0 to 10. I just have to make them understand that hurting me will hurt them back. I thought that's the only way they'll ever truly regret it, I explained. "System. It's only 10 points. What's there to be happy about?" it asked. I turned, went back to my room, and uploaded everything else I had. Medical records, photos of my neglected room, audio recordings of their abuse, security footage, everything. The internet was stunned. The public relations teams for both families scrambled to do damage control. But my evidence was overwhelming. It was an ironclad case that left them with nothing to say. Now, Ethan and Bianca didn't dare leave their houses. My family was in full-blown crisis mode. They tried everything. Threats, bribes to get me to stop posting, but I had already moved into an apartment right next to the police station. Their threats were empty. Both family companies took a massive hit. Their stock prices plummeted and business dried up. Under this multi-pronged assault, their regret values soared. The highest among them reached 70. A few more days passed and the value stalled again. The online buzz was starting to die down as their PR teams worked overtime. It seemed I had to pull out my ultimate trump card. I took out my driver's license, turned on my phone's camera, and started a live stream. "My name is Caleb Hayes, and I am formally reporting my family's company, Hayes Industries, for tax evasion, smuggling, and fraud. They claim to value Ethan, to value family, to value their reputation, to value their business. So, I'm going to destroy everything they hold dear," I said. After I posted the video, the internet completely detonated. The scandal was already hot, but this was gasoline on a raging fire. The Hayes family had no time to react. My whistleblowing video went viral instantly. The evidence was concrete. The company's collapse was only a matter of time. Even if it survived, it would be a shadow of its former self. In a single morning, my parents' regret values hit 100. But Bianca stalled at 90. What a heartless woman, I thought. "System. Where is she now?" I asked. "She's at a hot springs resort with Ethan. They're in a private spa room," it replied. "Perfect. Even now, she still found time for a romantic getaway," I said. I arrived at the resort in the late afternoon. Their private suite was on the top floor. I took out my phone, activated the discreet spy camera I prepared, and started a live broadcast. I silently counted to 3 in my head, then kicked the door in. 2 pale, writhing bodies, piercing screams. I stumbled into the room, faking a stagger, my eyes red with rage. "Bianca, you cheating worthless." She was terrified. She was still technically my fiancé, and Ethan was her fiancé's brother. If this got out, her family would disown her to save face. And after everything I'd done recently, she had no idea what I was capable of. I deliberately pulled out my phone and aimed it at them as if I were about to record. "Stop!" Bianca and Ethan lunged at me, trying to snatch the phone. I dodged around the room, leading them on a chase that ended on the balcony. When they lunged for me one last time, I let their momentum carry me backward over the railing and into the open air. "No!" Bianca screamed, stunned, desperately reaching out to grab me, but I was already falling. She let out a terrified shriek. Why the terror? I thought. In the span of a few minutes, she had become a murderer. The regret values on her and Ethan's panels shot to 100. As I fell, I laughed. A wild, liberating sound. System, if my death is the only way to truly punish them, this is the optimal strategy. Ruin everything she has, turn her into a killer, and make sure she can never recover, I said. I closed my eyes, a smile still on my lips. See, now they're regretting it to death. Hayes Industries was investigated and shut down. My parents went from titans of industry to bankrupt debtors. Bianca Sterling and Ethan Hayes were convicted of manslaughter and sent to prison. In the aftermath, the Sterling family's business teetered on the brink of collapse. Their reputation was in tatters. They would regret what they did for every second of the rest of their miserable lives. And me, I woke up in my own bed. Sunlight was streaming through the window. There was an extra $10 million in my bank account. My own beautiful life was just beginning.